The family vault of Michael Featherstone once stood somewhere near here in the sandhills at Somerton Park for over 100 years, sheltered by a grove of olive trees that brushed against the structure with every breeze, within sight of the waters of the Gulf of St. Vincent. Michael Featherstone was an English settler who arrived with his family in South Australia in 1839. He purchased land at Somerton in 1842, a year after the death of one of his sons, also named Michael, at the age of 5 months in 1841. In 1843, he gave a part of his land for use as a chapel and burial ground, which in time became the North Brighton Cemetery. Little Michael was exhumed from his first burial place in Adelaide's West Terrace Cemetery and reburied here. In 1846, another son, John, died at just 10 days old and was interred beside his brother. In 1851, Featherstone decided to have a family vault constructed. Edward Turner and Thomas Glover were contracted to build it, but as they began work in the winter of 1851, it was discovered that the ground in the cemetery was flooded. It was decided to move the vault. Featherstone had a love of the sea and had expressed a wish to be buried within sight of it. The bodies of the boys were exhumed and placed in the family's hayloft to wait while the vault was moved to the sandhills at the back of the property in August 1851. Michael himself died in August 1854, and his body placed in the vault. Over the next 20 years he was joined by his wife Charlotte, who died in 1867, his grandchildren Minnie, Ethel and Raymond, the infant children of his eldest son William, as well as Charlotte Smithson, a relative of William's wife Elizabeth. The Featherstone family sold the property to the Hackett family in 1877 and moved away. Some of the family went interstate, while it was reported that the last remaining daughter was an elderly woman living in Hampstead, England in 1923. In 1909, the property to the south was purchased by Minder Home for use as a refuge for those with physical and intellectual impairments, particularly children. In 1936, the Hackett family donated part of the old Featherstone holding to Minder. The vault stood in a reserve about 2 feet outside the boundary. Outside of the district, which was still primarily agricultural until well into the 20th century, the vault was unknown. A mention of it was made in 1911, which said the vault was in good condition. On the south side of the vault was a marble plaque, on which was carved the family vault of Michael Featherstone, Esquire, while on the northern side was a second plaque, listing the first 3 interments. Things had changed by the next time it was commented upon. Subdivision of the old farms had brought in more population to the area. In May 1923, it was reported that the eastern side of the vault had been damaged. The slate was broken and splintered, and a dozen bricks removed, creating a hole large enough to enable a small person to be able to gain entry into the vault. An employee of Minder Home, Mr. A. B. Burgess, stated that he discovered 40 to 50 sightseers at the vault, some going down through the hole to explore the interior. Burgess blocked up the hole with posts. Later that day he went back, and this time he found 2 men and 2 women in bathing costumes inside. Having told them to come out, he tarred some bricks into place to reseal the vault, much to the annoyance of the tomb tourists. The next day Burgess and a lad returned and made sure the vault was in order. Then they dug down and reversed the slab and cemented it in place. The vault was desecrated once again in 1954. The slate slab covering the entrance was again broken, but this time a hole was punched in one of the leaden caskets. It appeared nothing had been taken. None of the other coffins were disturbed. There had already been consideration for removing the vault, and this incident settled the matter. Trevelyan Funeral Directors had 2 new coffins made, and the remains were placed in these in late October 1954. and taken not to North Brighton, but to St. Jude's Cemetery, about a mile south. For Michael Jr., it was his fourth burial. The inscribed plaques were taken as well to be placed on the new grave, and then the rest of the vault demolished on November the 2nd, 1954. Today, there is no trace that it ever existed, and it has largely faded from memory into the dark corners of history.